The report printed at 7 minutes past 1 in the morning. I was in the office above my first restaurant, doing what I do. Line 41 stopped my pen. Table for two. My flagship, my house account. Her cocktail, a ribeye, medium, with the good bourbon sauce, $118, comp to an account only two people can use, mine and my wife's. I scrolled back through 9 months of weeks, 14 times, same table, same drink, same steak, always on my late night. My wife does not eat ribeye. The restaurant I built had been feeding the man who was sleeping with my wife. I had paid for all 14 of his dinners, tipped my servers to wait on him. He ran a tab in my house for 9 months without knowing it. This story ends with that bill coming due. Comps are meals the house gives away. Every free plate has a reason attached, and I sign off on everyone. A widow's birthday, a cook's family in from out of state, the preacher's coffee, which has never hit a register. The comp report crosses my desk every week before the deposit does. That habit has caught 4 skimming bartenders over the years. It was the one place in my life where I never stopped looking. The 14th ribeye was dated 2 days before Roxanne knocked, while my server was working up the nerve to break my heart. So, let me back up 8 months, to the day the house went quiet. My youngest son Chase carried the last box out of his bedroom. Brenda cried at the front window, or I thought she did. 38 years married, and the nest was finally empty. I am 58. I own 5 restaurants in the state, casual places, full plates. People around here do not say my name. They say the name on the sign. I started in a dish pit at 15. My daddy drove a bread truck and my mother cleaned offices. The first time I ate in a restaurant, I was 11. Married Brenda at 20. Both of us babies playing house. Our wedding cost $300 and a borrowed church basement. At 25, I bought my first diner off a man named Gus. He was retiring, and he carried the note himself. Brenda's daddy put in $15,000 he could not spare. She kept the books at night those first years after the kids went down. Her signature is on those early loans next to mine. Gus sold me the diner for what was in my savings, plus a handshake, 40 cents on the dollar, carried at terms a bank would laugh at. He said, "Kid, I am not selling a building. I am picking a successor." Our first winter, the furnace died the same month as the freezer. We could not cover both and rent 2, so Brenda and I gave up the apartment for 1 season. We slept on a cot in the diner's back room, by the proof box, 23 years old, broke as a stray, warm off the pie oven. She used to say the whole marriage smelled like rising dough. Back then, she said it like a blessing. I have never pretended otherwise. The first dollar this family made is framed on my office wall. Her handwriting is on it, the date, and 3 words, "We did it." 33 years later, there are 5 buildings with my name, and 33 spiral notebooks on a shelf above my desk. 5 numbers a night, every night in pencil since 1993. Covers, sales, food cost, labor, and the weather. My whole life fits in those notebooks. My key ring weighs close to a pound, a key to every store, plus the original diner deadbolt key. That one has not fit a lock in 20 years, brass worn smooth. I keep it like other men keep a wedding band. On my desk sits Gus's old check spindle, the dupe spike, a chrome spike on a lead base, 40 years of killed tickets. You finish a thing, you stab it, and it stays finished. Remember the spike. It comes back at the worst possible moment, or the best. So does every night I was not home, if you read them that way. Here is what a restaurant man's deal looks like. I leave before 6 and come home after 9 on the soft nights. The church crowd is the biggest shift of the week. That after-church rush is 300 covers of Judgment Day. Deacons count brisket portions like the offering plate. 3 full turns between noon and 4, week after week. After the church crowd, we kept one ritual that was ours, the week's end supper, just Brenda and me at our table at home. I cooked. She picked the record. The kids called it date night and made gagging sounds for 3 decades. I would not trade one of those suppers for a restaurant. The deal was simple, and we both signed it young. I feed the city. She runs the home. 3 kids came up in the corner booth of the flagship. Lauren, then Tyler, then Chase, doing homework next to the salt shakers. Lauren carved her initials under that table in 1998. Used my pocket knife while I pretended not to see. A 9-year-old committing her first and only crime. I have turned down 2 refinish guys since. Same reason. The servers raised them as much as we did. That booth still has Lauren's initials under the table. Store 3's opening day, 20 years back. Brenda in a yellow dress holding the ribbon scissors. She cut wrong on purpose. 2 snips, so each kid got a piece. The local paper ran it. All 5 of us under the new sign. That photograph still hangs by the host stand at Store 3. I never took it down through any of this. The first week of the empty nest, the house got loud. The ice maker, the hall clock, a faucet I had meant to fix. Brenda heard it too, I could tell. We just answered it differently. The first tell came about a month after Chase moved out. Brenda started going out with what she called the girls. She wore a jacket I had not seen since a wedding years back. New perfume too, sharp, younger than the one on her dresser. She kissed my cheek on the way out, which she never did leaving. But the girls changed. She came home smelling like cigarettes she did not smoke. Her best friend of 30 years called me that summer fishing. "Is Brenda all right?" she asked. "She has gone strange on us." I covered for my wife on instinct. Busy season, she is fine. And under it, something sweeter I could not place. A man who stands over a grill all day goes nose blind. I work in smoke, fryer oil, hickory, char, the grill man's cologne. My wife used to say she could find me in a dark room by smell. I missed what her clothes were carrying for months. There was a smaller tell I almost forgot, the music. Brenda has played the same gospel station in her car since 1995. That spring, I borrowed her car for a parts run. The presets were country stations I had never heard her play. Somebody had been riding shotgun and touching her radio. The second tell was the phone. Nothing was locked between us for 38 years, passwords included. One morning, her location was off. A glitch, she said. The glitch never got fixed. The third tell was the week's end supper. She started missing it, first once, with an apology and a casserole in the fridge, then twice a month, then most of them. I sat at our table at home with 2 plates more than once. I am not a man who eats alone well. One week's end, I closed early on purpose, did not tell her, drove home at 6 with flowers and a bag of good short ribs. The house was dark, both her cars gone from the driveway. I cooked the ribs anyway and ate at 9:15, across from her chair. She came in at 11:40 and said the girls ran long. You should have called. I had called twice. The phone on the counter showed my name, twice unanswered. I did not point at it. I washed my plate, and that was the night the wrapped plates started. I started wrapping her plate and putting it in the fridge. By June, there were 3 wrapped plates in there at once. I threw them out on trash night like evidence of something. A grown man hiding that his wife stopped coming to dinner. I gave her every excuse a tired husband can build. Empty nest, I told myself. She raised 3 kids, and now the house echoes. Let her run a little. And then my dining room started answering it for me. There is a 4-top by the window at my second store. Regulars, retired couples, 20 years of pie and decaf. I walk my dining rooms every visit, reading tables. 2 fingers on the corner of each one, an old habit. That 4-top stopped talking when I walked up in early spring. Caught quiet. Not polite, quiet. Something in that one had gone off. The wives would not meet my eyes. The husbands suddenly loved their coffee cups. I told myself they were having a hard day. The bottles came next, though I did not call them that yet. Brenda always liked her wine, 2 glasses on a porch night. But the recycling started going out before I ever saw it. She volunteered for a chore she had dodged for 3 decades. I found the first bottle in the garden shed in April, behind the potting soil, screw top, empty, cheap, not our brand. We buy wine with corks for the house. It is a small vanity. I stood there holding it like it might ring. Then I put it back exactly where it was. I checked that shed every week after, reading it like a gauge. 1 bottle became a brown bag of 3, then a case box with the flaps tucked, hidden in plain country style. One night in May, the garage door woke me at 1:15. I lay still and listened to my wife negotiate the back steps. She fell asleep on top of the covers with 1 shoe on. I took the shoe off, set it by the bed, and lay back down. A man can be a stranger and a butler in the same minute. I wish I could tell you I did that out of strategy. I did it because I was not ready. The drinking and the disappearing grew up together that spring. Girls' nights landed harder. She started sleeping until 10, a woman who raised 3 kids on 6 hours. Mouthwash appeared in her car door, the big bottle. The grocery list changed too, small and strange. Sports drinks for a woman who walks for exercise. Eye drops on every list, 2 bottles a month. And the sweet smell under the cigarettes finally had a cousin, skunky, green, clinging to the jacket she hung in the garage. I am 58 years old. I know what weed smells like, even through a grill man's nose. My wife was 58 too. She had picked up habits I associated with line cooks half her age. Not one thing. That is what I did about it. I ran my stores. I read my numbers. I cooked the week's end supper for one and wrapped her plate. A man can work himself blind if the work is good enough. The week the truth finally walked in, it wore an apron. Roxanne has waited tables at my flagship for 19 years. She raised 2 boys on those tips. I co-signed the loan on her first car after her divorce. There is staff, and then there is family that clocks in. She had been circling it for 2 weeks, finding reasons to bring me checks I did not need to see, standing at the pass a beat too long, watching me read the rail. Twice she started a sentence with, "Boss, you doing all right?" The 3rd time, her voice had weight on it. She knocked on my office door on a slow afternoon, off shift, purse on her shoulder, which meant business. She closed the door, which meant worse. "Boss," she said, and then she could not start. I poured her a coffee and waited like you wait on a souffle. "You know, I pick up shifts at a roadhouse across the county line," she said. "Money is money," I told her. "No shame in it." She nodded and looked at the floor. "Mrs. B has been coming in there," she said. "The same night every week," she said, "like an appointment. And she is not alone, boss." The office got very small and very loud at the same time. "Who?" I asked. "A regular there," she said. "Curtis somebody. Drives the gray pickup with the chrome rack. They sit in the back corner, and he pays in cash. And boss," she made herself look at me. 19 years of loyal in her eyes. The whole crew has known for weeks. Nobody knew how to tell you. I want you to hold that the way I had to. My people, my kitchen family carrying that plate around, watching me taste gravy and check bathrooms and read tables, knowing the whole time. Roxanne was the only one with the spine, and it cost her. Her hand shook the whole time. I thanked her, and I meant it like a vow. Then I asked her the question that built the next 9 months. "Does anybody at that roadhouse know whose wife she is?" "No," she said. "Out there she is just Brenda. 38 years of being my Brenda, the name on our checks. And she had built herself a life where I did not exist. Sleep never came that night. And I did not wake Brenda either. She came in at 12:40, smelling like a bar with a garden behind it. I lay there doing restaurant math in the dark. Girls' night was every week, same night, set like a kitchen timer. My closing shift at the far store fell on her girls' night. She had built her schedule inside mine. The next week, I did something I had never done in my life. I lied to my GM about where I would be. I parked across the road from that roadhouse at dusk. Gravel lot, neon in the windows, a gray pickup with a chrome rack by the door. I sat there for 1 hour and 11 minutes. Through the front glass, I watched my wife laugh at a corner table, not her church laugh, a laugh I had not seen aimed at me since the second store opened. The man was my age, heavier, with a golf tan and a loud watch. He touched her wrist twice while I watched. She let him. I drove to the flagship and worked the line until closing. Dropped fries, ran the pass, called tickets like I was 40 again. The crew thought I was in a great mood. I was somewhere past mood altogether. The drive between that roadhouse and my flagship is 20 minutes. I do not remember 1 mile of it. What I remember is the wheel, both hands locked at 10 and 2, like a student driver who suddenly trusts nothing. Not the road, not the brakes, not 38 years. Somewhere on that drive, the question stopped being, what is true? It became, what do I do with true? I want to admit something about that window hour. The next week, I drove halfway back there and stopped. Sat at a gas pump for 10 minutes, engine running. Watching her once was evidence. Watching her twice was a hobby, and I did not want the hobby. I turned around, and I never went back without a reason again. That was the night I pulled the comps report. You already heard what I found at 7 minutes past 1. 14 rib eyes. The judge had the exhibit list read into the record by date. March 11th, table 14. 1 ribeye, 1 Cabernet. 13 more entries behind it. The same order every time. The man did not even have the imagination to change his steak. By the 8th one, the courtroom had gone weather quiet. By the 12th, her lawyer asked to stipulate to the rest. The judge said no. We will hear all 14, he said. The petitioner paid for them. I will remember that sentence till they close my last door. Now you know what they meant. She was not just seeing him across the county line. On my late nights, she brought him into my house. Let me say it the way I finally said it to Phil. Her boyfriend ate free at my restaurant 14 times, and the bill, when it finally came, had her name on it. Sat him at a good table under lights I pay the bill on. Ordered him the ribeye with the good bourbon sauce, and comped it on the family account, so no ticket ever wore her name. The servers knew her, of course. Nobody questions the owner's wife comping her own table. I printed that report twice. 1 copy for the file I did not have yet. 1 copy I folded into my shirt pocket over the spot that hurt. Then I sat in my office until the sun came up, reading 9 months of my life backward off a receipt roll. Every line was a night I texted her good night from a store. Every line she texted back, love you, drive safe. $118 at a time I had financed my marriage's funeral, and I never looked up from the books long enough to see him. I found Phil the way restaurant people find everything. I asked my food rep, who sees every parking lot in 3 counties. He gave me 1 name and said, do not shop around, call him. Phil's office smells like old paper and burnt coffee. His retainer was $7,500, and he apologized for none of it. Cheap lawyers, he said, are the most expensive kind. He listened to all of it with his hands folded on the desk. The roadhouse, the comps report, the bottles in the shed. When I finished, he asked one thing first. Since you found out, have you slept with your wife? I sat back like he had thrown a plate at me. No, I said. She comes in late and I leave early. It has been weeks. Keep it exactly that way, Phil said. And then he taught me the word that ran the next 9 months. Condemnation, he said. He wrote it on the back of a takeout menu and turned it to me. 11 letters that owned the next 9 months of my life. Adultery here, he said, can end her right to alimony. Not trim it, end it, but learn about the cheating, then take her back to bed. The law reads that as forgiveness. The ground dies, and her alimony claim comes back to life. 1 weeknight, he said, 1 anniversary, 1 bottle of wine, and you will pay for her retirement and his bar tab. Then he leaned in on the rest of the rails. Do not record her phone calls. That is a felony here. Do not put anything on her car. No trackers, nothing clever. You are not a detective. You are a payroll. I hire a licensed investigator. He does it right. It holds up. I met him once at a diner that was not mine. His pick. Retired law enforcement, paper placemat, black coffee. He asked 4 questions, wrote nothing, and shook my hand. The less you know about my week, the better you testify. That is the last conversation we ever had. The investigator ran $4,500 down against day rates, cheaper than 1 year of alimony, Phil said. That math closed my mouth for good. Your job is 2 things. Live like a roommate without announcing it. That diet is harder than any health code. You share a coffee maker with the woman you are building a case on. You say good morning and mean good evidence. And keep writing in those notebooks. He tapped the spiral I had brought, the current one. Judges believe pencil, he said. The comp's report made him sit up straighter too. Your own business records, kept in the ordinary course, he said. Cleanest evidence there is. No fight to get it admitted. She picked the one place in the county that keeps every receipt. 33 years of pencil is a gift you gave yourself. He opened one from 1994 at random and read it out loud. Cover 61, sales 900, food cost high, snowing. That is the night your second girl was born, I told him. I did the books from the hospital lobby. Phil closed the notebook like it was scripture. Juries are not allowed in family court, he said. A real shame. They would have loved you. About that word condemnation and me, there is history, because Phil did not actually teach it to me. He retaught it. The first time I learned that word, I was 44 years old, year 14 of the marriage, 2 stores, 3 little kids. There was a man then too, a pharmaceutical rep who worked her gym, all teeth and samples. It never got as far as this one, or so she swore on her mother. I sat in a different lawyer's office that year, heard the same word, walked out, and chose the marriage. We never told the kids. We barely told each other after the first year of repair. I buried it so deep that I forgot the shape of it. Until Phil said condemnation, and the whole thing surfaced. I had fallen off it once already, 24 years ago, and the second fall was standing in my kitchen holding flowers. Our anniversary lands in early fall. 38 years, the kind of number that gets a banner. I came home from the early shift to candles on the table, her good dress, my grandmother's tablecloth, and on the stove, in my pan, was my dish. The smothered pork chops I have cooked her since we were 22. My recipe, learned off Gus, perfected across 3 decades. She had cooked my signature back at me as bait. Understand what that table was legally. Phil had drawn me the map a month before. One night of forgiveness, and her alimony comes back from the dead. And here was forgiveness, plated, candlelit, wearing her good dress. I do not believe she read a statute. I believe a wife of 38 years can feel a wall go up. And a wall going up before a divorce costs money. So she reached for the oldest tool in our house, which was us. We sat, because a man cannot stand there holding flowers forever. She poured the wine, mine red, hers white. I noticed her glass was already her second, by the bottle line. She talked about Lauren's promotion, Tyler's truck, the picnic. The early years came up, the winter we slept in the diner. We laughed, and the laugh was real. She told the story of Tyler and the Lobster Tank, 2004. Our middle boy, 8, named every lobster in a supplier's tank. We rehomed a crate of lobsters as pets that year. Worst margin night of my career. Best dinner story we own. That is who we were once. A family that rescued dinner. That is the part that nobody tells you about a dying marriage. The good parts do not stop being good. They just stop being true. Then her foot found mine under the table. 38 years, I know what that foot means. She looked at me through the candles, lashes done, and said it. Stay up with me tonight. Like we used to, she said. Every alarm Phil ever installed went off in my chest at once. And under the alarms, something worse. I wanted to. You can know everything, hold the receipts, plan the filing. The body keeps its own books, and hers said 38 years. I took her hand over the candles, and I told her one true thing. I am tired tonight, sweetheart, and I am not tired tomorrow. The pork chops were perfect, I said. You found my secret. Her face did something small around the eyes, a flicker of arithmetic, there and gone. She kissed my cheek at the stairs and went up alone. I slept in the recliner with the lamp on watch. I have been asked since if that was the hardest night. It was not even close, but it was the night I knew I could finish this. The next morning, she came down in her robe, watching me. You seemed 100 miles away last night, she said. I poured her coffee and told her the season had me stretched. She studied me the way you study a soup that tastes off, could not name the ingredient, knew something had changed hands. That morning, the clock started running louder for both of us. 3 weeks after the anniversary, the phone rang at 11:20. I was at the flagship, watching the closers count drawers. The screen showed an unfamiliar number, County Exchange. A recorded voice asked if I would accept a detention center call. Then Brenda's voice, small and wet and slurred at the edges. There has been a mistake, she said. Come get me. She had left the roadhouse and clipped a mailbox post, then drifted across the center line with a deputy 2 cars back. Nobody hurt, thank God, and I mean that with my whole chest. The mailbox belonged to a retired couple I have fed for years. I replaced it that weekend, a nicer one, cedar post, no note. They knew, and they let me, and we have never discussed it. That is how a small place forgives, in lumber and silence. A different night, a different road. This story gets unspeakable. The next part still shames me. My first instinct was to fix it. 38 years of being the man who fixes it. I know people in this county the way restaurant men do. I cater the sheriff's retirement parties. 2 phone calls and a quiet morning. That was the old me. I stood in my flagship dining room with the phone against my head, and I heard Phil's voice instead of mine. You are not a detective, and you are not a fixer. You are a payroll. So I did the hardest nothing of my life, the second one. I called Phil's after-hours line, and then I drove home. I did not bail her out that night. Her brother did, just before sunrise. Her brother Doug called me the next day, and I did not pick up. The voicemail ran 2 minutes and 12 seconds. You self-righteous grease merchant, it started. She gave you her whole life, and you leave her in a cell. It got worse from there, and I listened to it twice, calm as soup. Then I saved it, dated, and sent a copy to Phil. When the other side is screaming, hand them a recorder. Phil filed it away with a little smile. Doug never called again after the decree, by the way, but last month he came into my second store with his grandsons, ordered the family platter, paid full freight, tipped 20. We nodded across the room, 2 old bulls calling it even, in a small place. That is an apology with gravy on it. Family that yells on tape, he said, never testifies well. The paper from that night took weeks to come to us properly, some of it public, some through the case after we filed. Phil handled the doors. I just read what came through them. The number on the breath test was 0.19, more than twice the line. Her car spent 9 days in the impound lot, $45 a day plus the tow, and nobody rushed to add it up. Doug retrieved her car from the impound on day 9, paid the $405 in cash, and drove it to her mother's himself. He glared at the flagship on his way past, I am told. The building survived it. The insurance letter came the next month, certified. Coverage continued. Rates roughly doubled. One driver flagged. Money was about to start talking in its own flat voice. Her side never disputed the drinking pattern after the DUI. They could not. The dive tabs ran $300 and $400 a month, card after card. A retired teacher swore to doubles before sundown. What they disputed was what it meant, sickness or character. I never weighed in on that, not even here. Both can be true, and a courtroom only needed one. At her age, at her size, that is not wine with the girls. That is practice. The kids found out inside a day, because this county talks. Before the kids, the pattern got built brick by brick, lawfully. The PI took the shed photos with a date strip, bottles in place. 2 bar regulars gave affidavits, what they saw, how often, how much. A retired teacher and a fry cook, nobody's enemies. Phil subpoenaed the dive tabs after filing, card after card. The pattern stopped being a husband's bitterness. It became arithmetic with witnesses. By 8:30 the next morning, my second store knew. By the lunch rush, all 5 did, and half the county with them. My pastor called that afternoon, gentle as always. No questions, no verdicts, just checking on a member. Then my food rep, then 2 owner buddies from the next county. A man came up to the register, paid, and gripped my shoulder. Said nothing, squeezed once, left. That handshake economy ran for a month. The vendors found their own ways to say it too. My food rep added a case of peaches to a delivery, no charge. My linen man pressed the apron sharper than the contract asks. Working men talk in freight and creases. I heard every word. And my 3 kids split 3 ways, like kids do. Lauren, my oldest, came to the house with fire in her. Dad, you cannot let her drive you into the ground, she said. She had seen more than I knew. Daughters always have. Tyler, my middle one, pulled back and stayed back. Do not put me in the middle, he said, and hung up gentle. I respected it, and it broke my heart, both at once. And Chase, my youngest, the one whose empty room started this. Chase already knew. He had seen his mother at the roadhouse months before. With him, he carried it alone, a kid holding a hot pan with no rag. He told me the whole thing in my office, door closed. Last fall, he and 2 buddies hit that roadhouse for cheap pictures. He saw his mother from the parking lot through the front glass, laughing at a corner table with a man in a loud watch. He sat in his buddy's car while they ate inside, told them he felt sick, which was not even a lie. He drove past twice more after, hoping to be wrong. He got righter every pass. My son did his own surveillance at 29, alone, unpaid. Dad, he said, I thought if I said it out loud, it would be true. I told him the truest thing I know. It was already true, son. You carrying it did not make it true. It just made you tired. We filed 11 days after the arrest. Phil mailed me my copy of the petition the day it went in. I read it twice at my desk. Nobody else in yet. Then I put it on the dupe spike, dead center, all the way down. Gus would have understood. Some tickets you kill, so the kitchen knows the order is done. In this state, adultery is a fault ground, no waiting year. Phil pled the cheating first and the drinking second. The drinking pattern was strong, he said, but patterns argue. Adultery, proven right, does not argue. It ends the alimony question for good, and that was the war. Run the numbers with me. because I ran them every night. 38 years married, me the earner, 5 stores. Phil's worksheet put the alimony risk near $5,500 a month, the kind that usually ends only at death or her remarriage. Call it 7 figures of exposure over time, Phil said, and then, if we prove what we both know, call it gone. Brenda moved in with her mother the week we filed. Her mother is 81 and sharp as a paring knife. I got one phone call from that house, and it was not Brenda. Son, her mother said, same as she has called me since I was 20. I do not know everything, and I do not want to. But you cooked for my girl for 38 years. Whatever she broke it with both hands. Then she hung up before I could say a word. Her own mother. Church was its own quiet war that season. 38 years in the same pew, 4th from the front. The first week alone, the space beside me felt like a podium. Everybody preached at me without one person saying a word. The pastor shook my hand a beat longer at the door. Hang in there, son. That was the whole sermon, and it was enough. Tyler carried messages for a while after that. Mom wants the good china. Mom says the lake pictures are hers. I let every item go without a fight. After a month of china and lake pictures, I shut it down. Son, I told Tyler, you are my boy, not our go-between. Tell your mother the lawyer talk goes through Phil now. He looked 20 years lighter by the end of the sentence. Phil prepped my financial declaration himself, line by line. Every store, every lease, every personal guarantee, daylight. Hide nothing, he said. The man with clean books wins boring. The temporary hearing came 6 weeks in. Nobody testifies at those here, Phil warned me. It is affidavits, financial declarations, and page limits. Paper wrestling, he called it. Her side's packet arrived, and I read it twice in Phil's office. 10 pages, and they spent 2 of them on a photograph. The framed first dollar off my office wall. Her handwriting blown up underneath. The date, we did it. Next to it, a copy of her daddy's $15,000 check from 1989. And the early loan papers, her signature riding next to mine. The argument underneath was simple, and it was a knife. She built this company as much as he did. She is owed half of everything with his name on the sign, half of 5 restaurants, the buildings, the brand, my life. I sat in Phil's office doing arithmetic with a dry mouth. Half, structured any way you like, meant selling stores. You do not cut a restaurant in half, you close it. There are 140 people on my payroll, dishwashers with kids, servers like Roxanne, a GM near retirement. Her lowest moment could lay off 140 of mine. My flagship GM, Dot, is 2 years from her buyout. 22 years, started on Fry, owns 5%. She came to me that week, twisting her ring. Boss, do I need to be looking at jobs? I told her no, and I was not sure, and she heard both parts. That conversation is the one I hold against Brenda the hardest. Not the motel nights, making Dot ask that question. Phil watched me do the math and let me finish. Then he tapped her packet with 2 fingers. This is a strong story, he said. Here is ours. She kept the books until 1996. Then a bookkeeper took over. She has not set foot in a walk-in since the second store opened. The growth, the leases, the recipes, the brand, that is you. Her early years are real, and the court will honor them. Honor is not half. The temporary order came back the way Phil predicted. She got the house to herself and interim support. $3,400 a month, starting immediately from my account to hers, because the alimony bar only bites once adultery is proven, and nothing gets proven at a paper hearing. So every month while the case crawled, I wrote her a check. Think about the shape of that season. Her boyfriend ate free at my restaurant for 9 months. Now I was paying for her lawyer to call me the villain. The woman whose boyfriend ate 14 ribeyes on my tab. Phil told me to write them perfect and write them silent. A judge reads everything, he said, including how a man pays. Check number 1, I wrote alone in my office. $3,400 a month is not what stung. I have written bigger checks for walk-in compressors. What stung was the memo line staring up blank every month. There is no good word to put there, so I never put one. Check number 6, I wrote at the counter while the lunch rush ran. You can get used to anything, which is a quiet kind of sad. I ate my lunches that season on an upturned milk crate, out by the back door, between the herb pots and the grease bin. A man with 5 dining rooms and 300 chairs. The crew thought it was humble. It was just the only place nobody asked how I was doing. And then the county nearly handed her side a gift. A surprise inspection hit my 3rd store in the worst month. The walk-in was 2 degrees warm off a failing gasket. A B grade went in the window, my first in 19 years. In my business, the letter in the window is the news. The Four Tops talked about it from soup to check. Her lawyer found a way to mention it in a filing, of course. A business in decline, he wrote, under distracted management. I replaced the gasket that night with my sleeves rolled. Reinspection took the A back in 11 days. The inspector on the recheck was the same woman, fair as rain. She tested the walk-in twice, nodded, and signed. Off the record, she said at the door, "My mother loves your pie. Tell her it is on the house this month," I said. She did not take the pie, and I respected the badge for it. I framed that A myself, level, dead center of the window. The frame B is in my office closet, by the way. I keep it the way pilots keep their worst landing. You frame the A for the customers. You keep the B for yourself. Distracted management, my eye. What I never got used to was my crew that season. Nobody said the word divorce inside my 4 walls, but my coffee started showing up without my asking. The dish crew sent out a staff meal to my office, family recipe. And one morning, the whiteboard by the clock-in said one word, boss, with a little crown drawn over it. I left it up for a week and pretended I had not seen it. The city fed me back that year, one small kindness at a time. I filled 6 notebook pages the night the first check cleared. None of them are going in this video. Before the costume change, she made one move in person. Month 5, a busy lunch, I was at the pass running plates, and my wife walked into my flagship like a paying stranger. She sat herself at the corner booth. The homework booth, Lauren's initials under the lip. Ordered a salad and an iced tea from a server with shaking hands. The dining room figured it out one table at a time. 40 regulars pretended not to watch the owner's marriage. She knew precisely what she was doing. A public room is a hostage situation for a man with a sign. React. And I am the villain by dessert, countywide by church. So I did what restaurant men do. I sent her the check. Not rude, not free, just a check, like any guest. She paid it, left a $5 tip, and walked out past me. Beautiful day, she said, at the door. It took everything I had not to answer. The server who waited on her found me in the office after. Boss, that was the hardest table of my life. Mine too, I told her. Tip out double tonight. Month 7, her side changed costumes. Brenda enrolled in an outpatient program across the river. Understand, I hope it took. I hope she is sober today. I mean that in front of God. But the timing was not about sobriety, and Phil saw it first. Her lawyer filed 2 things the week she enrolled. First, a motion recasting the drinking as a health condition. The DUI became a cry for help. The bottles became symptoms. A sick woman, abandoned by a husband married to his restaurants. Second, and this was the torpedo, an allegation that I had condoned the affair. The Roadhouse deserves one sentence of description. Gravel lot, neon beer signs, video poker machines by the door. A perfectly fine bar for somebody else's wife. Their proof was our anniversary dinner. Candles, her dress, my recipe, witnesses who saw me buy flowers. The papers claimed we reconciled that night as husband and wife, that I knew about Curtis, forgave her, and resumed the marriage. If a judge believed that, the adultery ground died, and the alimony came back from the dead wearing a sympathy face, a sick wife, a forgiving husband who changed his mind. That story pays $5,500 a month for life. I sat in Phil's office reading the lies with my name in them. She knows there was no reconciling, I said. She was there. Phil did not look up from the packet. She also swore those Roadhouse nights were nights with the girls. The woman is not allergic to paper, he said. Nothing saves you like the truth plus a witness. The flowers were real. The dinner was real. The candles too. And at 9:40 that night, I was in a recliner, alone, on the phone, with Lauren for 50 minutes about her promotion. Phone records do not reconcile. And the guest room sheets I slept on for months were real. The PI had photographed the house layout when we started. 2 bedrooms in use, one man's reading glasses by the recliner. Phil stacked it all and filed our answer. But he was straight with me about the risk. Condonation is a swearing match, he said. You say no, she says yes, and a judge picks a face to believe. This is the part of the case where you can lose everything. Not because you did anything, because she is a better performer than you. I did not sleep much that month. I ran my stores and wore a groove in the guest room floor. One night, Roxanne found me staring at the comps report again. Boss, she said, you look like you are waiting on an inspection. I told her that was about the size of it. The whole marriage was getting graded in a back office somewhere. The PI finished the job in month 8. His second report told me who Curtis actually was. 55, twice divorced, sells pontoon boats at a marina. The Loud watch was a rental-grade knockoff, the PI noted dryly. The gray pickup had 11 payments left. I had been outbid for my wife by a boat salesman on credit. Phil told me not to take that personally. I have not yet figured out how else to take it. I never met the man but twice, which Phil said was the point. His package came in a binder thicker than a menu redesign. Time-stamped photos outside the Roadhouse, 11 nights. Brenda and Curtis in the gravel lot, his hand in her pocket. Then the night that ended the argument. Her car at his lake place at 11:58 and still there at 6:40. Same clothes, walking out, carrying her shoes. There is a legal phrase Phil used, inclination and opportunity. Plain English, a private place, all night. No innocent version. The condemnation claim faded fast once that binder landed. No man forgives an affair he is still paying to document. Her side asked for one more mediation. We sat in 2 rooms with a retired judge walking between them. He was a kind man with a cattleman's handshake. He came into our room on the second pass and sat down slow. Sir, he said, I have read everything, and I will tell you once. Most men in your chair settle because they are tired. You do not look tired to me. You look finished. Those are different animals, he said, and a judge can tell. Their last offer still had alimony in it, wearing a costume. $2,800 a month for 10 years, plus the house. Phil slid the worksheet over and let me decide. $330,000 overtime for peace. Today, I thought about the freezer feeling, the counting place, and then I thought about 14 ribeyes. Tell them no, I said. Tell them I will see her at trial. The week before, Phil rehearsed me like a fire drill. Not testimony since I was not testifying. Faces, he said. A trial face is a closed kitchen door, he said. Whatever burns back there, the dining room never smells smoke. He made me practice hearing her lawyer say my worst sentences. By the third run-through, my pulse quit jumping. Trial took 2 days, 14 months after the report printed. But my corner booth crowd was Lauren in the second row both days, Chase the second day, jaw set like concrete. Tyler stayed away, and I have made my peace with that. The morning of day one, I opened the flagship myself at 5:40, walked the line, tasted the gravy, checked the bathrooms. Then I put on my mother's funeral suit in my office. Dot stopped me at the back door with a paper bag. "Biscuit for the road, boss," she said. "You never fight on an empty stomach in this building." I ate it in the courthouse parking lot like a sacrament. Her side went first. Brenda wore gray and spoke softly and cried at the right turn. She told the gift story, the partner story, the sick story. She even explained the girls' nights with a straight face. A support circle, she called it, for empty nest women. The support circle served dollar drafts and had video poker. "Half the company was built on my back," she said. Lauren's knuckles went white on the bench rail behind me. Phil had warned us, "Do not react. Faces are testimony too." My daughter sat on her hands after that, literally sat on them. For one bad minute, like a fool, I almost nodded along. She had slept in a diner with me in 1989. From the outside, her early years and her lie look alike. Then her lawyer made his mistake. He kept her on the stand too long, polishing, and Phil stood up for cross-holding one piece of paper. "Mrs. B, when did you stop keeping the company books?" A pause. 1996, she said. 29 years ago, Phil said, and sat down. The math hung in the air like smoke over a flat top. At the lunch break on day two, Phil and I ate in his truck. Gas station sandwiches, parked under a crepe myrtle. 14 months of war, and that is the meal I remember. He went over nothing, rehearsed nothing, talked fishing. A good lawyer knows when the kitchen should go quiet. Her side rested. Ours stood up. Watching her raise that right hand cost me plenty. 19 years she carried my plates. Now she carried the worst thing she ever saw, in public for me. Roxanne testified in her church clothes with her chin up. 19 years. Boss never missed my boys' graduations. She told the roadhouse part plainly, which made it land harder. The second server confirmed the corner table and the cash. Then the comps exhibit went up on the screen. 14 lines, $118 at a time. My house account. Phil priced it at actual cost. Dollars the business truly lost. The judge, a man my age with a wedding band, studied it. He asked exactly one thing from the bench. These meals were charged to the family's own comp account? Yes, Your Honor, Phil said. The husband's account fed the affair. The judge wrote for a full minute after that. Then came the PI binder, photo by photo, night by night. Her lawyer objected to volume and got overruled into his chair. There is a strange thing about a 2-day trial. You sit there while strangers argue your marriage in third person. The husband worked. The wife poured. The account fed the man. 38 years reduced to exhibits with numbered stickers. At some point, you stop hearing your own name as yours. It becomes a character, a man you feel sorry for from a distance. Then court breaks for lunch, and you remember he is you. And then Phil rested without calling me at all. We talked about it the night before. His call, my blessing. The paper has no temper to lose, he said. You do. Closing arguments took one afternoon. Her lawyer went long, painting in big strokes. A woman discarded at her weakest hour by a man who chose buildings. Phil went short, the way he does. Your Honor, this case has been about one account from day one. A family comp account, built for grief plates and graduations. She used it to feed the affair 14 times in writing. The respondent did not lose this marriage at a roadhouse. She spent it line by line on the house ledger. We are asking one thing, read the receipts. Then he sat down and I watched the judge underline something. The ruling came back 3 weeks later on paper, 16 pages. Phil called me in rather than reading it over the phone. He met me at his door without his suit jacket, which scared me. Then I saw the corner of his mouth fighting itself. "Sit down," he said, "or do not. You may want to stand for this." He read the central holdings out loud, the way I read specials. Slow, once, no seasoning, letting the words do their work. I gripped the windowsill at the alimony paragraph. Outside the window, people walked to lunch like it was a normal day. For them it was. For me, a year of holding my breath ended on page 9. I read it standing up at Phil's window, then again sitting down. The divorce was granted on adultery. At that window, granted meant the court heard me and said, "We believe him." I have won health inspections, loan approvals, 2 lease fights. Nothing ever read like that one word. Those words in print after 14 months of paper wrestling. The drinking stood behind it as background, the why of the break. Then the money pages. Alimony denied, permanently barred by her own proven conduct. The $5,500 a month that lived in my nightmares for a year, gone in one paragraph by her own hand. The temporary support stopped that month. I made 3 calls from Phil's parking lot in order. Lauren answered on half a ring, like she had been holding it. All of it, I told her. The cheating proven, the alimony gone. She did not cheer. She let out a breath she had been holding for 14 months. Then Chase, who said nothing for 10 seconds, and then, good. One word, a foot of concrete behind it. Then Roxanne, because the crew deserved it from me first. "Tell them at family meal," I said, before the dinner push. Roxanne asked me one thing back before she hung up. "Boss, can I take the corner booth's reserved sign down?" It had been sitting there since the day Brenda staged her lunch. I had not had the heart to move it or the spite to leave it. "Take it down," I told her, "and seat a family there tonight." She seated a young couple with a baby carrier on the house. The young father recognized me on their way out. "Sir, are you the name on the sign?" he asked. "I am," I said. He shook my hand and said his own daddy used to bring him here. "Corner booth," he said. "Right there, after every report card." I told him the booth remembers, and it does. Some tables hold more than plates. First comp on the new account, and I signed it from the office. I am told the crew rang the order bell for a full minute. Dot told me later 2 of the cooks cried into their aprons. Restaurant people do not cry easy. We are an onion-proof breed. I did not call Tyler that day. He had asked to stay out of the middle, and a deal is a deal. Lauren told him that night, gentle, sister to brother. He texted one word at midnight, proud after 2 months of quiet. It said, "Dad." I slept with the phone on the nightstand like a teenager. I framed nothing from the ruling. That is not my way. But I did one thing the morning it came. I drove to the flagship before open, alone, pulled the comps report one last time, the original 14, and I fed it to the office shredder slow, like bread to a duck. The court had its certified copies. I did not need mine anymore. The spike on my desk kept the petition. The shredder got the receipts. Each piece of paper went where it belonged. The company, the court ruled, is marital property. Both parties' contributions credited. Hers early, mine always. Phil read that page twice before he let himself nod. Equitable does not mean equal, he had told me all year. It means what is fair after the whole story gets told. The court heard the whole story. The split came back 57 to 43. My way. Fault was one factor among many, the order said, not a fine. Her early years got honored, like Phil promised. Honored is not half. Then came the bill. The add-backs got read into the record, item by item. 14 comped meals at actual cost. The dive tabs on the card. The Lake Weekend receipt. 2 transfers that lined up with the fair dates. Small money against 5 restaurants, but money was not the point. The point was a court saying he paid unknowing, she repays knowing. One paragraph saved 140 paychecks. No store sold. I keep the company whole and buy out her share over 5 years. The house went to her ledger. Retirement split. A note for the rest. The first dollar in the frame got one line in the findings. The court acknowledges the respondent's early contributions. Acknowledged. The exact word. The judge added 2 sentences of his own at the end. The court does not punish failed marriages, he wrote. It reads evidence, and in this case, the evidence read itself. Phil has that page framed in his lobby now, names blacked out. He says clients stop fidgeting when they read it, not halved. I saw Brenda once at the courthouse after, signing papers. She was at the clerk's window, reading glasses on, lips moving. 38 years, and we passed 11 feet apart in a hallway. Neither of us spent a word. Some accounts just end. The first weekend night after the decree, I worked the flagship floor, shook hands at 12 tables, poured coffee at 2 of them. A regular of 20 years held my hand longer than a handshake needs. Glad you are still here, she said. Where else would I be? I told her. The building and I had been through it together. We were both still open. The dust settled over the next year, person by person. Roxanne got the flagship floor manager job that spring. 19 years of carrying trays and 1 envelope of courage. She earned it years before that office knock. Her youngest starts college in the fall. Dot signed her buyout papers that same spring, on schedule. 22 years, Fry Station to part owner, witnessed by the crew. We closed the dining room an hour early and fed the staff. I gave the toast with sweet tea, since we are that kind of shop. To the ones who stay, I said, and the room about lost the roof. Brenda missed it, and knowing our early years, that is the saddest line here. The staff meal she sent me that bad season is on the menu now. We call it the family plate, and it sells out on cold days. 1 menu note before the endings, because people ask. We still sell the rib eye. The bourbon sauce came off the menu the week I filed. Some recipes you retire. Curtis evaporated the way men like him do. The PI's last report had 1 quiet line in it. Subject no longer frequents the establishment. When the money dried up and the lawyers got loud, so did he. 14 ribeyes, and the man never even came to watch. Brenda is still at her mother's. The program, I hear, has stuck so far, and I am glad. I mean that plainly, with nothing writing on it. Her mother sent a pie to the flagship at Christmas. No card, but it was her crust. I would know it anywhere. I sent back a quart of the bourbon sauce she always liked. Some treaties get signed without 1 word on paper. 38 years does not turn to hate on a court date. It turns into something quieter, like a scar you stop showing. Lauren asked me for one thing after the decree, the framed first dollar off the office wall. Dad, she said, it should not hang where you do business. It was true before it went bad, she said. Let me keep that part. It hangs in her hallway now, and I can visit it. Lauren also started a standing lunch with me that year. Every week, store 2, the window table, no agenda. She never asked how I was doing, smart like her grandmother. She just kept showing up with court gossip and grandkid bait. Those lunches fixed more than the lawyers did and cost less. That is about the best deal I made all year. Tyler came around at the holidays. No speech, just showed up. He carved at the table like nothing happened. In our family, that is a peace treaty with full honors. And Chase, who carried it longest, rides my store loop now. Drives the 5 stores with me, tastes the gravy, checks the bathrooms. He says it is so I will retire someday. His girlfriend comes along some weekends now. She does the bathroom checks better than either of us. Chase says when they marry, the reception is at the flagship. I already know what the comps line will say. Family, no charge, the biggest one I ever signed. It is really so neither of us carries anything alone again. The week's end supper came back too, moved and remodeled. We hold it at the flagship now, in the corner homework booth. Lauren's initials are still under that table. Whoever shows up, shows up. Kids, grandkids someday. Roxanne off shift. I cook. Somebody else picks the record. And the comps line for that table reads, family, no charge. I sign off on it every week. The best free meal in the building. Gus died 9 years back, 88, sharp to the end. He used to come in on slow afternoons and grade my gravy. Near the end, he told me the only business advice he ever gave: feed people like they are yours, and the books behave. I run 5 buildings on that one sentence. It turned out to work on families too, eventually. The ones you feed right find their way back to the table. The first equalization check went out 60 days later. A fifth of her share, certified, on time, every cent. Writing it felt different from the support checks. Those were a tax on waiting. This was a man buying back the other half of his own name. 4 more payments and the company is all mine, signed and done. I will be 63 and the sign will finally match the deed. Notebook 34 started the week after the decree. 5 numbers a night, same as 1993. Pencil, no drama, but I added a 6th line that first night, just once. It says, all 5 stores, still mine, still open. I do not write feelings in the notebooks. That one got in under the wire. The house account is closed. I closed it the day after the decree with a printout for the file. Some doors you shut so everybody can hear it. I still walk my dining rooms every visit, 2 fingers on the corner of every table. And when a table hushes for me now, it is just folks being polite. That I can live with. See you in the next one.